Alright, let's say you want to have this nice image on your website, and this is a pretty big image. It's 140 kilobytes, as you can see, and it's 1100 pixels wide. And this is fine if somebody's viewing this on, say, a larger desktop, but if they're using something smaller, like maybe a mobile device or even a tablet, then this might be a little bit overkill. So if I put this on something like an iPhone, you can see they see a really small image, but they're still loading in 140 kilobytes, which is kind of wasteful because they can barely see all the detail that's contained inside this image. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can serve different images on different screen sizes. So instead of serving this 140 kilobyte image, instead we can actually serve something else. So I have 3 different images right here, and so this one is only 400 pixels wide. This would be fine for a phone screen. And as you can see, this is only 21 kilobytes compared to something like this. It's 139 kilobytes. So you're saving them over 100 kilobytes. And that's just going to make a big difference in loading time, especially on mobile devices. It's not always the fastest. Okay, and first things first, of course, you're going to want to actually have the images available in the first place. So I have 3 different crops right here, 1100 pixels, 800 pixels, and 400 pixels across. And of course, you can just export these in your favorite image editor, or I have a video on how to resize images on command line. You could just run a script and get all of these. Or of course, if you're using some kind of framework or a static site generator, you can automate the process to create all these images. But for now, let's just assume you have all 3 of these images right here. Alright, so let's take a look inside the code right here. And right now, we just have an image tag with just the singular image like I showed you there. And so if we want to make this responsive, we're going to want to add a new field here. At the bottom, let's say srcset. And this is going to contain a whole bunch of different images. And we can tell the browser what size each of these images are so that it will automatically display the right one depending on the viewport width that the website is being viewed in. So I'll start off with the smallest one. It's going to be under the image folder. It's called landscape 400. And then we'll just want to set this the width of the image with this W unit right here. You're not going to want to use pixels because this is going to be the width of the actual image. So if you're unsure of the width of your image, you would just look it up in your file explorer or something like that. And then we're going to want to put in the rest of the images all comma separated. So actually, I forgot to put .jpeg on here. I should do that. So we can separate by comma all of the different images that we want. And you can really pass in as many as you want here. If you want to add even more intermediate steps in between this, that's fine. But just these 3 breakpoints are enough for me. So let's say this is 800 width. And finally, okay, and we have all of our images in here. And this might be a little bit annoying to read. So we can actually put this on separate lines if it makes it easier to read for you. It does for me, so let me just do this real quick. And so this is an easier way to write it all down, especially if you have a lot of images in here. It can be kind of annoying to read on just one line. And we're actually going to leave the original source in right here. So this is going to be actually the fallback. So srcset is supported in all modern browsers. I think the only thing that doesn't support it is Internet Explorer. So this will just be the fallback if this srcset doesn't work. So worst case scenario, it'll just fall back to this image. Let's just put this as 800, just something in the middle there, so it's not too large, not too small. Alright, so let me just go back to the browser here, and let's say we just have a phone here, and let me just reload this. And if you look here on the right, now we're only bringing in the 400 pixel across image right here. It is only 22 kilobytes, so that's great. On phone screens, they will only load this and none of the other ones. And of course, you can see if we switch the resolution, let's say to 500 pixels, we only get the 800, and as we go up, and it'll bring in the 1100. So we're only getting the images that we absolutely need and nothing else. And another nice thing about this way of doing things is it'll also get the right size image for Retina screens. So let's say you're on a newer iPhone, it has Retina, and so if they were just to load a 400 pixel image, it might look a little bit blurry. So on an iPhone X, for example, this will actually bring in the 1100 pixel image right here, just because of the high device pixel ratio, or Retina screen, I guess most people would call it. will just allow you to view much higher quality images on a smaller device. So that's nice that it does all the work for you, and it will automatically grab the correct size image for each situation. And while we're on the subject of Retina screens, what you can also do here, instead of having, say, this 400 width right here, there's a different unit you can use. And you can just say you want 1x right here and 2x. And what it'll do is it'll display this higher resolution image on higher pixel density screens like Retina screens. Whereas on lower ones, it will just load this one, or the 1x right here. So let me just give you an example. If we have a smaller screen right here, and we just have a device pixel ratio of 1, and then we reload this, we're only going to get the 400 pixel image. But if we have, let's say, double that, we have double the pixels on this device, then we're going to get the 800 one. So that's another way of doing things. If you want to specifically have images reserved for Retina screens or something like that, you can do it this way. But to be honest, most of the time I just use the width unit right here for all of my use cases. So personally, I would just recommend sticking with this width unit right here. But one thing to keep in mind is that with this source set right here, it is assuming that all of these images are taking up 100% of the viewport right here. So as you can see, this image is 100% of the viewport width, and that's fine for a lot of use cases. But what if you have, let's say, a grid, and these don't take up the full width, these only take up maybe half of the width of the page, or maybe only a third, or on higher resolutions it could be even less. So because of the way that the page loads, it's not automatically going to see how big the container is for it and automatically adjust the image size to the width of its container. Because when you load a web page, it actually starts loading in the images before the CSS. So by default, it's not going to have any CSS, so it's not going to know how big the width of its container is going to be. So by default, it's just going to look at the viewport and nothing else. So we actually have to tell it if we don't want it to take up the full viewport width. We have to actually tell it if we want it to only take up half or a third or something like that. And so let me just go in here and let's add a new field. It's going to be called sizes right here. Or let me actually show you this with two columns right here so you get a better idea of what I'm talking about. Let me just uncomment all this right here. And as you can see, now we have two columns right here. But on smaller screens, we're just going to have this responsively changed to one column layout. And let's take a look at these sizes right here. So inside these sizes, you can write something sort of like CSS media queries. If you've ever worked with those before, then this will be very familiar syntax. And what you're doing here is you're writing in parentheses min width is 800 pixels. So what this is saying is if the viewport is at least 800 pixels wide, then the image is only going to take up 50 VW, which is basically the viewport width. So 50% of the viewport width. And then otherwise, if it's not above 800 pixels, then it's just going to be 100% of the viewport width. And as you can see, if it's under 800 pixels, then it will be 100% of the viewport width. And because we've added these sizes here, we basically told it what size the images are going to be at every different breakpoint right here. And of course, you can add in more breakpoints right here. Like you can add even more breakpoints right here, say something for 1100 pixels right here. And then you would just put a comma here, and basically you can insert as many as you want. But I'm just going to have the 2 here for the sake of this example. And then the source set, we're just going to leave the same. So if I've put this in correctly, it should fetch the correct images based on the screen size. And as you can see, it's now only loading in the 400 pixel wide images right here. And once we change the dimensions to be less than 800, then it's going to break out the 800 pixel wide images just because it wants a higher resolution image because it's only one column now. And of course, if you also stretch this out to an absurd amount, let's say we have a 1600 pixel wide viewport, then it's also going to get the 800 pixel wide images because of course we have a much larger screen. So you can even be more explicit about it if you want. So this is going by the viewport width, but you can actually just say, okay, if it's over 800 pixels, then I always want the images to be 400 pixels wide. And if it's under 800 pixels, then I always want it to be 800 pixels wide. So I would just put these in here, and let me do the same for here. And if we go back here, then it's always going to be 400 pixels. It's always going to get the 400 pixel images if it's above 800 pixels wide. And if we go under that, then it's always going to be 800 pixel wide images. So personally, I wouldn't use this, but you can be more explicit if you want to. But most of the time, I just use the viewport width. And so that's how you can serve different sizes of the same image. But what if you want to serve different images for different sizes? So let me just give you an example if you don't know what I'm talking about. And let's say we have this image of this guy right here. And so on wider screens, I want this nice landscape view. You get everything in the shot. But the problem is, if you look at it on a phone, okay, the guy starts to get really small. And if this is a header image, maybe you want your guy to be a little bit larger. And so you want to just put in a completely different image. So what I did is I cropped this image down. Let me just show you right here. So here's the default image, and then I kind of cropped around it. So on smaller screen resolutions, you're just going to see this guy only, and you don't need to see as much of the scenery around him. And if you want to replace the image with another one, then you would use this picture tag syntax right here. So let me just show you what's happening. So we have a picture tag around here, and then we have an image tag inside here. So of course this is going to be your default image right here. We have the source and we have an alt tag right here. But in addition to that, you can also pass in these sources right here. And these are going to have media queries like the srcset that we saw before. But the syntax for these is a little bit different. It's going to be under media, and then you're going to want to pass in the min width right here or the max width, anything that you would put in a media query. And then under srcset, you would want to put the path for that image. So basically this is saying if the image is greater than 800 pixels, then we want to pass in this larger image that is 800 pixels. But if not, then we want to just serve the original one. And so now if we save this, then as you can see, we now have the cropped image right here. And if we scroll out to larger than 800, then we get the larger widescreen picture right here. And of course, like the other example, you can pass in as many images as you want here. So you would just continue to add more sources right here and just change the media queries right here, change the source of the image right here. But that's it for how to serve different images with HTML. But say you want to load different images via CSS. So let's say I have this hero right here, and I have this header right here that says welcome to my cool website. And inside the CSS here, I have a background image set. So let's say by default it's going to be the 400 pixel wide one. And the way you would do responsive images in CSS is, you probably guessed it, but with media queries. So you're probably familiar with media queries. This is the syntax for it, but it's basically the same thing. So we're just saying on screens larger than 800 pixels wide, we're just going to use this background image instead of this one. Man, that's literally it. So we would reload this, or actually misspelled the path to the images. 1 second. But yes, now we have the 400 pixel wide one, and then as we increase the size, we have loaded in the 800 pixel wide one. So that's how you would swap between different sizes of background images in CSS. What you can also do is you can actually use this picture tag right here, and with a little bit of CSS, maybe you could actually position it as absolute and kind of hack it in to be a background anyway, if you prefer to use this picture syntax right here. But for most cases, I would probably just use these media queries right here. They've been around for a while and they work fine, so just use them. Alright, so it all sounds well and good, but you might be thinking, do I really have to put in all of this every single time I want to put in an image? So imagine writing this every time you want to write an image. And of course, if you want to have more image sizes, then it's going to be even more work. You're going to have to convert all the images yourself. You're going to have to write out all this boilerplate. So unless you have a very simple website, what I would do is I would use some kind of framework like Hugo is a great static site generator that I recommend. I recently made a video on how to create a blog with Hugo and how to optimize images with Hugo. So you would have Hugo create all these different image sizes, and then you would just write a little bit of code so that it'll automatically generate this large image tag every time that you want to create an image. So if you're using one of these generators or frameworks, you can have it automatically do all this work for you. And that's probably going to be the best idea if you want to do this all across your website and you have a pretty large website. Of course, there are plugins for things like WordPress if you use that at all. And finally, you might be wondering, how do I know how many breakpoints to have here? How many different images should I have here? And what sizes should all of these images be? And if you don't want to think about all of this, for some simpler websites, you can probably just do with maybe 2 or 3 different image sizes and just come up with them yourself. But if you want something a little bit more complex, or you don't want to do any of the work yourself, then you can use a website like this. So I'll leave a link to this in the description. But this is basically a website that'll automatically generate a bunch of different image sizes and a bunch of different breakpoints for you. So let's use this image as an example. So it'll get you different resolutions from 200 pixels wide to 1400 pixels wide. And you can put in all these different options right here. You can tell it that you want retina sizes as well. But it'll just get you a whole bunch of different images right here. It'll get you all the code for this right here. So you can download a zip file and then use all of the images with this code right here. So yeah, if you're not sure what sizes all to put, then I would just play around with a tool like this. It makes it pretty easy if you're confused. And maybe you don't want to have this many images. That is kind of a lot for most use cases, I think. You can limit it to, say, maybe 4 of them. As you can see, now we have all these sizes right here. That is very handy. So there's another way that you can make life for your users a little bit better by serving them just the images that they actually need and none of the giant images that they don't.